Shall we do some questions from your book? Did you send me the book also?
7. Sir,
Try this question.
sir, what's this?
Okay, try this question. This is coming from Moment.
Sir, what does Q represent?
Okay, let me explain this question to you, right? Okay. So a waiter holds a tray. First you have to read the question, right? Don't ask what is this. Give me a couple of minutes. That is fine. Okay, so a waiter holds a tray horizontally in one hand between fingers and thumb as shown in the diagram, right? So now the tray is being held by the waiter, right? So now we know that the weight of the tray will act on the center of gravity, right? So what is the center of gravity of the tray? Since the tray is a flat object, in the middle of the tray it will act, right? So now this is the center of gravity. Can you identify that? This is center of gravity. Why? Because this is not the bird eye view of the tray. This is just a front view of the tray. Okay, so this is the center of gravity. Have you figured out the center of gravity here? Idea?
So how is this the center of gravity?
Because we already studied, right? So if this is a rod, in the middle we will have the center of gravity, since this is a symmetrical rod.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So likewise here this will be our center of gravity. Here W will act. Okay, right.
Okay.
Now here there will be a reaction force, right? So now you see here, for example, here he is holding here, right? He is holding here, so he will apply a force P here, right? So a weight, okay, right. Let me explain. Okay, so this is the pivot. Can you understand that? So if this is difficult for you, the picture is given, right? So don't worry about it, right? So let's say this is the pivot, right? So now, for example, let's say if the waiter releases his thumb, what will happen?
He will fall.
The tray will fall, right? So it will
Yeah.
topple like this. So he is holding the tray by his thumb, literally. So he should apply some force in this direction, that is P, right? So P is the force that the waiter applies or exerts on the tray, on the edge of the tray, using his thumb, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and don't worry about this Q, okay, because this is pivot, right? So this is pivot. So between the pivots, right? So this, since this Q is acting on the pivot, what is the perpendicular distance? 0. There is no distance between the point and the pivot, so 0. So don't worry about this Q, right? So state two relationship between the forces that must be satisfied if the tray is to remain horizontal in equilibrium. What is the two relationship?
So which one?
The first one. State two relationship between the forces that must be satisfied if the tray is to remain horizontal and equilibrium, right? So if the tray is to be equilibrium, then P into this distance 0.01 meter, right? 0.01 meter should be equal to W into this distance. Can you understand that? W into this distance. What is this distance?
W into 0.01?
Oh no, this is 0.025, and if you subtract this 0.01, this will give you this distance, right? So 0.25 minus 0.01. Have you understood this now?
Yeah.
This
0.
is actually a advanced question, but if you can understand this, then you can ask any of the questions, right? So I just downloaded this from the internet, right? Okay, right? So now 0.01.
So it's kind of confusing, the second part.
No confusion. I will explain it, right? Okay, right. So now you see here the tray is being kept at equilibrium, right? The tray is being kept at equilibrium. Now the tray has a weight. The weight will act on the center of gravity, and this is the center of gravity, right? Center of gravity. Now the waiter is holding the tray using his thumb. So he is applying a force on the edge of the tray using his thumb. Okay, so that is P. What is P? If you want to describe P is equal to the force that the waiter applies on the edge of tray using his thumb, right? Okay, is that clear for you?
Yeah.
Okay, what is W? W is the
The
weight of the tray, and Q is the reaction force, right? So what is pivot? Can you identify the pivot on this diagram?
Pivot.
Pivot.
Yeah. The center of gravity.
Yeah, no, pivot is not the center of gravity, right? So now if the tray falls, about which point the tray will fall? Now
About.
you see he is bearing the tray on the rest of his fingers, right? So if he releases his thumb, it will fall, the tray will fall about the point where he is bearing the tray using his rest of the fingers. So this is the pivot. Can you identify this? This is the pivot, right? So if he releases this thumb, what will happen? It will fall like this. Yeah. Why? Because now P has become 0. Why? Because he has released his thumb. So when he releases his thumb, the P becomes 0. So there will be a moment, clockwise movement about this point. So this is pivot, right? Can you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now first question is being asked. State two relationship between the forces that must be satisfied if the tray is to remain horizontal and in equilibrium. So what is the first relationship? P should not be equal to 0. If P is equal to 0, what will happen?
The value might change.
No. If P is equal to 0, he has released his thumb. So the tray will fall. Right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
this is the first relationship. Then the second relationship, otherwise you can tell P greater than 0. It should be P greater than 0. P cannot be negative, force cannot be negative, right? Okay. The second relationship is coming from the principle of moment, right? So now we can tell that about this point, there will be a anti-clockwise moment and the clockwise moment. So we can write P into 0.1. 0.1 is equal to W into this distance. What is this distance? W into this distance is 0.25 minus 0.1. 0.25 minus 0.1. So P into 0.1 P is equal to, what is this value? 0.15 W, right? So this is the second relationship. This is the first relationship. Okay, understood?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now you see, this is very simple, right? Is it confusing to you? No,
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay, right? You can understand, you can digest, right? Okay. Now they are telling, if the mass of the tray is 0.12 kilogram, calculate the magnitude of the force W. This is very simple, yeah? Can you try to do this? Can you try to do this? What should you know? If you are given the mass and asked to find out the W, what should you do?
Divide.
No, W is equal
multiply.
to M into
Mass
A.
into
M into G, right? So now 0.12 kilogram into
9.8.
9.8. You can put, okay, whatever, 9.8 ms minus 2, right? So that will give you 0.12 into 9.8 is equal to 1.17, yeah, 1.176 Newton. 1.176 Newton is being applied. Now calculate the magnitude of P and Q, right? So now you see here Q is the resultant force, right? So now we have found out, calculate the P and Q. Now how can you find out P? Using this equation, using the first equation, now we can find out P, right? So 0.1 P is equal to 0.15. We have calculated W, right? Can we plug this value into this expression? Huh?
So what?
Okay, right. Understand. Now this is the relationship that we have, right?
Yeah.
So what does this tell? If you know P or W, you can find 1. If you know P, you can find W, and if you know W, you can find P, right? So they have given this W, the hint for finding W. We have found out W. This is our W, right? Now I am going to plug this W into this formula, so I can find what P is, right? So 0.1 into P, right? Let me write down here again. So have you understood the idea? I have to find out P first, because they are asking what P and Q are. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. So if I know W and I have already found out W, have you first understood how I found W?
Yeah.
Okay. Now if I substitute W here, can I find P?
No.
Why?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. So 0.1 P
We
is
can
equal to
find
0.15 into 1.176. So what is P? Can you quickly calculate and tell me? 0.15 into 1.176 divided by 0.1 is equal to what?
answer. 0.1 0.1
1.76.
1.764.
Right. Okay. Now we know the P value and W value. What can you tell about this Q? Since this is at equilibrium, P plus W should be equal to Q, right?
Yeah.
So P plus W is equal to Q. Actually, this is the second relationship you have to. Now, this is the third relationship of forces. Now we know P and W, we can find what Q is. So Q is equal to 1.176 plus 1.764. What is the value?
1. So do I edit?
Yeah, 2.94.
2.9. Yeah.
Is this simple or hard?
Yeah, it's okay.
Right. Okay. Can you quickly write it down? And I have to stop it.
So yeah, I took the screen.
Okay. Right. Now B part. And there are some questions. Can you try rest of the questions and shall we discuss them in the next class? When can we have the next class?
Sir, can we have the class for chemistry later?
I'm sorry?
Can I have another class for chemistry later?
After 8 p.m. we can have it. Okay. Right. So now if you can understand this question, that is enough, right? So you can do all the questions coming in your exam, right? But the other questions may be a bit hard for you, right? So you don't need to worry about them. You can just try this question multiple times. Okay. Have you understood this question?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we can meet later. What about 8 p.m. is okay for you?
8 p.m. SL time?
Yeah, Sri Lanka time.
So I will confirm in a bit.
Okay. So, do you have any questions about this question? Any doubts?
No.
Okay. Then we can.
So can we have it at like 12 or 10 Sri Lanka time?
12 or 10? Yeah, okay. You just send me the time.
So should I do?
Yeah.